Hey everybody, welcome to GMG Reviews. Today we're taking a look at Trilaterium, 15 mil sci-fi battles on the edge of the universe. Now this is a indie rule set, fully published in, I think this is called A5 scale still, by Timothy W. Collona and Stacy L. Collona. And this is like a friend of the show, Travis's ambition, basically. He loved this game. It's a local in Massachusetts to him, also a local to another friend of mine, Jake, and he's basically designed and developed his own miniature game of like sort of heightened science fiction with just pick your own theme. It's in 15 mil, multi-base typically, and uses an alternating activation system and a few other clever mechanics for making things like balanced. It has a grand total of 9 army lists in the book, but there are additional army lists and all kinds of other stuff that have come out. And follows a really fun sort of like activation system on either a 4x4 or 4x6 tabletop, and uses between 10 and 15 units per side. So the big pitch for this for me was one, it was an indie rule set I hadn't seen before, because it's one of those games that's like local, like a bunch of local retailers carry it in Massachusetts, around Boston. And the sort of like the presence for it is all in real space. People are playing it locally at conventions and game stores, but it didn't have a big like online presence. And Travis was really enjoying it, playing it locally. Of course, he's from Boston. You've seen him here a bunch of times, and he came down to Let's Play with me. So this is the review of the rulebook. I'm gonna go over the core mechanics, but if you really want to see how to play, watch the Let's Play, because that'll have us actually like set up and play a full game. So like I said, 15 mil models. Everything is sort of like a heightened reality theme. So all of the factions are kind of, they're not one-to-ones of factions you've seen in other sci-fi properties, but there's like a very like fun 90s almost space orc, almost what are the orcs in the Fifth Element called? Remember the ones that are buying guns off of Zod? It's those. You've got like a sandworm riding sand people, all kinds of crazy robots. There's crustaceans. There's like a kind of a thematic like analog to most things in pop culture sci-fi, whether it's Warhammer, Dune, Star Wars, Starship Troopers. Like you're gonna get something for you. For base recommendations, it's on a 40x40 for most mounted infantry field guns, and for larger infantry and human-sized infantry, it's 3 models on a 40x45 base. I actually really like that 3 model thing. It makes them easier to paint. When you have 5 models and they're in like, you know, on a dice, that number 5, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the middle, something inevitably is kind of blocked from your paintbrush if you're not painting them in sub-assemblies, and I don't paint in sub-assemblies because ain't nobody got time for that. I mean, some people do. I famously had to untrain a bunch of my staff, Clarence for one, on painting in sub-assemblies. His sub-assemblies were insane though. He was painting a 40k orc army and painting every orc piece individually and then assembling them. I was like, what is happening? What are you doing? This is way too much work. So the 3 just being like an offset, you can paint everything. It's just a comfortable way of having stuff. Closest base edge to closest base edge for measuring. It uses D8s. And if you roll a D2, then you have it. D4, or D4 you have it, you quarter it for a D2, etc. Your kill zone is a 1-inch area around you. It's basically just like your firefight zone. If you're not within 1 inch of somebody, then you can't firefight. If you are within 1 inch, you can firefight. It basically is like an engage order. Line of sight, of course, is from your front arc. And then units basically are like able to see through friendly, but not necessarily through bad guys. And in game overview, first you check victory conditions, see if somebody's won. Then you do your activation phase, and then you do the cleanup phase. It's real simple. Starting with the player who has initiative, up to 3 units are activated, and all their actions are resolved. Each activated unit can perform 2 actions in any order. Actions can be repeated. Finish unit's actions before going to the next unit, and then mark the unit as activated. So use an integrated turn system. What's nice about it being not necessarily I go, you go, but also activate 3 units is, and the priority for the turn after the first is always the person that finished activating last goes second in the following turn, right? So if you had units left to activate, whoever hasn't activated next will go next. Then you get your stamina markers next to it. When it goes to activate, make a stamina roll. Stamina is basically your damage and morale system kind of combined. And this might have to be suppressed. If you're suppressed, basically you burn an action to clear your suppression and change. Actually, you don't even clear your suppression, you just burn an action. You only get 1 action. And you have a bunch of other negatives on you on top of that. Units must be activated even if they do nothing. Keep alternating until all active units have been activated. Each turn you can select units to activate differently, and this indicates units coordinating their attacks and communicating the position of the enemy to each other. So the goal here, of course, is that you can do any of these common actions. You can move a unit, maybe you move their full movement. Things move relatively quickly, so like, even to scale, basically, there's like a sort of a, heightened reality to how fast stuff goes. Like because you're playing on a larger table, they have units move relatively quickly compared to their size. Range combat, which is you shoot. Firefight is you get into base contact and fight. Suppressing fire is used to pin down an enemy unit. Roll to hit is with range weapons, but regardless of the number of actual hits, as long as one hit's achieved, they're suppressed and add a stamina marker. You can't use this against vehicles. So if you have other infantry, basically you don't do any damage, but you can act and just throw dice at them to make them suppressed. And then regroup. This action does not require stamina roll. This is a motivational speech, a battle cry, or just plain reaching down deep and proving their worth. Remove D4 stamina markers from a unit. They're basically your wound markers, but they're also your morale current total. And this does all your actions and can only be done during that activation. So basically it's all you're going to be able to do for the turn if you try and rally. All right, movement. So infantry moves 6 inches. Fast infantry moves 9. It's like jump packs and stuff like that, or even bikes can sometimes be like a fast infantry or cavalry. Vehicles move 9. Fast vehicles move 12, and flyers move 12. And then you get movement penalties and cover for different types of terrain. So like high grass, fields, and crops. You get cover for light infantry. Trees, heavy brushes, etc. Difficult terrain for vehicles, but light for all. Rocks and rubble, difficult for all, heavy cover for infantry. Buildings, structures, and barricades, difficult terrain for infantry, impassable for non-hover or flying vehicles, and it's heavy cover for infantry. And then flying, advanced technology allows for flexible operations to mobile aircraft, strafing units, and health table, activated on 4+. After the first turn, it's basically come in reserve. And you choose a point on 2 opposite table edges and draw a straight line between them. This is the path of the aircraft. You can target units within 3 of it. We didn't use flyers during the game, so I'm just going to give you a basic of this. And this is the path of the aircraft. And you can target units within 3 inches of the line. So basically, you're going to draw a line across the table. It's going to strafe that big strip down the table when it fires. And then range combat. So this has a fun mechanic to it where you can push yourself. So when given the range combat action, a unit fires all of its weapons at a chosen unit in line of sight. Consult the unit's weapons entry, and we'll go through the anatomy of the unit right now to show that off. So for instance, I'm going to use a vehicle. I'll just use garrison infantry. So these are from the Unified Exploration League, the humans. They have a 5+ defense. Remember, this is on a D8, right? So 5+ is a 4+, basically. It's a half, 50-50. Armor 4+, a little bit better than 50-50. 6 stamina they can take before the stand is destroyed, and that's per stand, and then there's 70 points per stand. They have the discipline special rule, which we'll get to later. But their laser rifles have a 24-inch range. They make 4 attack dice on a D8. Power 0, so they don't add anything to like the damage modifier of trying to roll for defense, and then special. So power basically would add your defense rolls. So if you need a 5+ to make a defense roll, you need a 6+ if it was power 1. Power 0, there's no modifier. So you're going to roll those dice. You're going to try and get your attacks to hit. The roll required is equal to the defense stat. So you don't have like a skill stat for your stats. It's the defense stat you're trying to roll to hit against. So, sorry, the power goes against the armor stat, not the defense stat. I was mixing those two up. So when I roll to attack garrison infantry, I'll roll, if they're attacking themselves, I'd roll 4 dice and look for 5+ to hit them. Now, if I was close, I get +1, so it'd be a 4+. If I was far away, so if you're 6 inches or under from my max weapon range, then it would be -1. So if you're in the sweet spot, basically, so from 7 to 18 is no modifier, from 0 to 6 is +1, and over 18 is going to be -1. And that means that like the cool thing about that mechanically, from like a rules writing point of view, is it doesn't short, medium, and long are always the same. It's just 6 inches off the bottom and top, whatever your maximum range is. It's a handy way of handling that stuff. Because like optimum range is basically always going to telescope out based on like the nature of the weapon. And then light cover is -1, heavy cover is -2, and if you're suppressed when you're shooting, you're -2 as well. If the hit to roll is 9+ or more, it's still possible to hit, but for every 2 8s, you cause 1 hit, so you have your hits. Any hits may be rolled again. So this is called full auto. Now there's a rule where basically you can stress your units out to try and gain more hits. And what's cool about that is it's less dangerous. So like if you get all of your dice to hit in the first try, you probably wouldn't try and full auto because the chance of it malfunctioning goes up. Whereas if you only got 1 hit, you're definitely going to try for full auto because there's less of a chance of you actually jamming. Because what happens is you keep rolling as many times as you want, and you can reroll as many times as you want as long as you keep making hits. But if any of the subsequent attacks are a 1, then something unexpected happens, you consult. So like if I roll 4 dice, I get 2 hits, I can roll those 2 again, try and get 2 hits, try and get 2 hits. And I can choose to stop at any time, or I can just keep rolling. If I roll a 1, though, I have to roll on this thing. So I roll a d8. On a 1 crack shot, it gets +1 power, so it can actually be good for you. Number 2, spray and pray. Attack again after this attack is resolved. Number 3, ceasefire. You just resolve your attacks, but keep rolling and stop rolling on 3 or 4. 5 of those a jam. Everything just misses. It all goes away. 6, and you become suppressed, sorry, because you have to try and clear your jams. 6 is friendly fire. You resolve the whole attack against the nearest friendly unit. 7 is ammo explosion. Resolve the attacks on this unit itself and add an additional D4 stamina markers. And then finally, hey, what does this do? You just gone as a casualty. You just blow up your ammunition cache or whatever. You just die. So it's neat because there's a gambling mechanic just baked into all fighting where you might blow up or not. But you can, if you get a really bad dice roll, but as long as you get 1 hit, you can keep trying to hit and increase your stack of damage. It's fun and it has fun in-game results, and I really enjoy it. It's one of my favorite mechanics in the game. And then Firefight uses the exact same stat line, except weapons might give you different bonuses, and then there's no bonuses for cover and stuff like that for the defender. So starting with the charging unit, if you want to move into base contact and then fight, you attack as if you would in range combat using the unit's weapon profile and applying any modifiers or abilities except the +1 for close range. And then keep rolling until, as per the rapid fire rules, but ones don't count. Reroll all dice that miss. And you just get to keep rolling hits forever. So once you have determined the number of hits, make armor rolls and apply stamina markers as normal. So basically, firefights are very decisive because you always reroll forever because they're to the death. You can't really break out of a firefight until one side dies. So what he's baked into the firefight side of it is there's no jamming because you're just fighting in melee. You're just savagely attacking each other. So you just keep re-rolling all of your hits until everything misses and ones don't give any kind of jam result. And then somebody dies, then you make a stamina check. Once they resolve, the winner of the combat is the unit that caused the most stamina markers. The loser of the combat is just destroyed. So if one just decisively does more damage, because immediately the other side fights back after you make your attacks, then the loser's destroyed. Stamina is just irrelevant. If on the other side that you're tied, you make a stamina check instead. In the case of a tie, fight another round of combat until there's a winner, sorry. And then subsequent rounds are simultaneous as if within heavy cover. So after you've finished fighting, the next turn that you fight again, everyone's in heavy cover because you're now tired. The winner can choose to make a single move in any direction. This move can be used to enter or exit difficult terrain without any kind of penalty. And you can't engage in a firefight or a vehicle unless they have the close combat weapon attribute. So dreadnoughts will have that. And there's your stamina. So stamina is the damage that you can take. It's your stat for damage and morale. Each point of stamina unit will take adds a stamina marker. If the total number of markers exceeds or meets your stamina stat, then you're destroyed. If you are forced to make a stamina roll a d8 and add the current stamina markers to the unit as a result. A roll of 8 is always a fail, and consult the stamina chart below. So if it's less than equal to your stat, so let's say I have 1 damage on me and my stamina is 6, I'm going to roll a d8, add that 1. If it's 6 or less, I can act normally. If it's greater, I become suppressed. A suppressed unit causes the unit to go to ground. You can only make 1 action, and you're -2 to your ranged attacks. If the roll is a success at the start of each round, basically if you want to try and rally, you can. Suppressed units always make a stamina roll when activated. If the roll is a success, they can act normally. If it's failed, the stamina roll resulting in a suppressed again, you remain stamina. And you add a single stamina and damage because you're just kind of bleeding out. Again, a neat way of incorporating both your wound stat and your morale stat together to sort of show the combat effectiveness of a multi-base unit of guys. And the cleanup phase. During this phase, the turn you'll conduct any actions including nanobots, discipline, medics, and anything else that happens during the cleanup phase. So it's just a catch-all for stuff that triggers at the end of the turn. And then special rules, and these are all kind of universal. Bloodthirsty, you're +1 power in firefights. So if you're in melee, you get +1 to your damage against armor. Because you're going to make armor rolls. Sorry, I think I skipped that during the shooting and the combat. Whenever you take damage, you make armor rolls, and the power would make it more difficult by adding to whatever you need to hit, the armor roll. Cold-blooded, have the number of stamina markers rounding up when you make stamina rolls. So if you make a test to see if your morale. Commander, you can sacrifice both their actions to give any unit within 6 a single action, including a regroup action. This can be used on a unit that's already activated during the current turn. So you can push your actions to other units within 6 with your commander, which is kind of cool. Lets things activate again. Captured, enemy equipment is often scavenged from the battlefield, but usually prone to malfunction. The unit requires a stamina roll each activation. they're just bad. Their stuff's bad. Drop deployments, basically dropping in fast. You get an extra 3 inches to your movement. What else? Medic, this is the end of phase turn. During the cleanup phase, remove D2 stamina markers on any unit within 6, including this one. Units can only benefit from medic once per cleanup phase, so medics can like heal your stuff. And these are generally the things that will make your units different across their core stat line, because the core stat line is pretty simple. And then your weapon abilities, so AA, better against flyers, AP, better against vehicles. Basically, you add additional damage if it takes any wounds. So if I roll my dice pool, I get 5 hits, it makes it save, takes 2 damage. I roll an additional D4 damage to add to the damage pool like that's already there. And then defensive is my other one. Designed to stop enemy unit from getting too close. This weapon can only be used against a firefight charge. Ignore the -1 hit modifier when shooting at units and moving into a firefight. So if you want to overwatch them, basically, then you, because you can always overwatch them when somebody charges you, you ignore the -1. That's it. Precise. These weapons are effective at any range, thus ignoring the long range modifier. And then vehicles. Vehicles have certain other rules to differentiate them from vehicle, from like infantry, and what kind of things they can do will be different as well. And that's it. We're into like the army list. So army lists, when building an army, almost anything's allowed with the army list. The only restriction is going to be for every vehicle, there must be 1 unit of infantry. That's it. So any infantry unit can upgrade one unit per 3 for a leader for 5 points. Veteran, you can upgrade any unit to veterans for 20 points. You can buy them special rolls. Any infantry unit can have medics for 10 points. And transports, any list may add a generic transport with Def 4+, Arm 5+, Stamina 8, and the transport ability for 70 points, but that can drop for plus 25 points. So basically, this is like the make your own unit type thing. It's just a little garnish on the unit types that are in here, as well as just being able to use whatever models you want as transports. And so we got our humans, the Unified Exploration League, the Dominion. These are sort of the Imperium guys and power armory stuff, power armor infantry. Glorious Draconian Empire, Yacht Lizard folks. The Sastal Industries, so some military robots. The Binocs, I'm just going to say those are the not orcs. The Den of Barad, Space Cats, sort of. No, wait, Space Bears, my bad. I think these are the Space Bears. I think they're Space Bears. The Legion Elios, which are some robots. The Parisi, they're a loose confederation of alien species banded together under a single governing body, kind of like power suity guys. The Agarakale Empire. Life develops in many different forms against spring force and storms. These are like Myotin mushroom people, basically. And then making your own custom units. There's rules in there for that, too. And these are the basic ones. There's more available on the website and stuff like that. And then we got our scenarios. So we've got, I think it's 6 scenarios. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. Colony skirmish, hunt them down, recover the relic, all-out war, find the beacon, and prisoner of war. These are all sort of like, whatchamacallit. These are all different, like variations of like archetypal stuff. And they're very simple. They let you use whatever terrain that you want. And then our reference sheet. It's a nice little handy reference sheet. This was super fast to learn. You can watch the Let's Play today, but there's tons of great, like, sort of like, I'm just going to use the Return Heightened Reality. They're really fun miniatures. They're bigger than you'd think they would be in 15 mil, because a lot of them are superhuman, right? So if a human being is 15 mil, all kinds of stuff can be slightly bigger and chunkier, and they look great. Tons of fun to build and paint. I'm so glad that Travis brought this in for me to check out, and congrats to Tim and Collona and Stacy Collona for them making this on their own, basically doing the self-publishing thing, which I think is awesome. It's a really concise, easy-to-grab rulebook. I'll link, of course, the website for it in the video description below. And as Travis pointed out during the Let's Play, armies are like 30, 35 bucks US for a whole army, like just to rock and roll. They've got like nice big centerpiece, kind of tiny-sized miniatures too, some expanded rules for those. And they're just fun. So if you're looking for a fun, like a company scale, I guess, sort of miniature game in 15 mil for science fiction with like lots of just cool thematic miniatures that you could probably show anybody really fast and has like very minimal buy-in. Like you can rip and play multiple factions. That was Travis's thing. Is he was just like painting a whole bunch of different armies for it because it's the price of a Warhammer Underworld's warband basically for an entire army. Yeah, this is a lot of fun. I love seeing little indie games like this come out and be popular locally and then spring out. So I wanted to give it a little shout out and try and bring the profile up a little bit. So it is Trilaterium. Thanks for Travis bringing this for me to check out. If you guys for watching, thanks now I'm Ash. Apple Wargaming.